Welcome to Security with Spirits. I'm your host, Jason, and I'm joined at the bar by
Ben, Jonathan,
and Tony. We'll tell you what to drink while we tell you about why we drink.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name's Jason, and tonight I am drinking a Papa's Pillar. It's a bottle that I had gifted to me. A friend of mine gave it to me. It's something that Ernest Hemingway down in the Keys, like they make it. It's really good rum. Usually I mix rum up with something, but this is so good. It's very sippable. So that's what I'm rocking. And I did mix it one time with a little bit of Dr. Pepper, and that was delightful. So if you get a chance, pick up a bottle. If they're hearing this podcast, we could take a sponsorship. That being said, Ben, what you got?
I've got Jameson Orange with on the rocks with some orange bitters and some like thinned out, I guess, orange marmalade mixed in. I really liked orange, and I really wanted to try the full orange experience, and it's pretty good. Yeah. What do you got, Jonathan?
Well, I gotta say, I love what you've got going on. I'm a huge fan of Jameson, especially that orange. It just goes down so smooth. Yes, we're plugging Jameson whiskey, but we're not getting any benefit. So tonight, I thought it was funny. Jason was saying he was drinking a bottle that was gifted to him. I was like, oh, this would be funny if everybody did. I've got a friend that he was working with a client, and the client brought him in a bottle of Hanson of Sonoma bourbon. It's 100 proof from California, and they put it in wine cask, and it's just really good. So I'm enjoying that right now. Neat. Tony, what do you got going on?
Well, it's pretty frosty over here, so I'm having a traditional hot toddy. Some whiskey, honey, lemon juice, threw in a cinnamon stick, let it sit in there and stir around with it. Pretty good. Hey, Jason, who's this extra person we got in the studio?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So we have Andre joining us today. So Andre is a good friend of mine, works in the cybersecurity field as well. It's a privilege to have him on here as our very first guest. Andre, thank you for joining the podcast.
Well, thank you very much for having me, gang. It's an honor and a privilege to be number one. I'm hoping to set the bar so low that the second guest can just easily clear the experience that I provide here on the show today. But thank you so much for having me. I am drinking. It is Oak Barrel Security, but it's not what you think. I am drinking a Dobel Cristalino. Dobel Cristalino is a tequila. It's an extra añejo that is aged 3 years in white oak barrels. Interestingly, they use charcoal to filter it to a clear color. Over ice with a lime, highly recommended. By the way, I'm a little bit jealous, Jason. Your bottle was gifted to you. My bottle was not gifted to. I don't get gifts, so I'm very jealous right now. So for anybody out there who listens to this, I'll happily provide my address if you want to send some gifts.
I don't know if giving out your address on a security podcast is a good idea, but
I didn't say we
could give it a shot. Nice. So what we're going to do first is, since you're first guest, we're going to try something new. We're going to do some questions. None of this is pre-planned or anything, so let's just see how this goes. So who wants to ask the first question?
Oh, Tony's got to go for it.
All right, Andre, just as a way of getting to know you, like, what is your security orientation? Do you swing more red team or blue team, white hat, black hat? Which way do you go?
Great question. I think I swing more vendor than anything, but my entry into cybersecurity dates back to probably around 1984 on a Commodore 64. Back in the day, we had 5.5-inch floppy disks, and we'd all copy games and share those games. And one day in the back of the middle school, someone passed me a copy of Strip Poker. I was like, wow, Strip Poker. Went downstairs, turned the computer on, parents are asleep. Load the game up. Super exciting, right? 8-bit naked ladies, 12-year-old kid. Sounds amazing. And I realized I didn't know how to play poker. So I booted up to the command line and began to look at the code, and I was just staring at it for hours, right? Because I really wanted the end of the game. I knew I couldn't play poker. But I realized there was a pattern in the code. And at the end of every paragraph, if you would, there was like a caret with a number, then a caret. And if you scroll all the way down, right, there was a caret with a number, I can't remember what it was, like, I don't know, 526. So I used that as the starting run command instead of starting at the number 1. And when it booted up, everyone was naked at the table. And that began my passion for figuring out how to reverse engineer and break things, and then you can make computers do what you want to do.
Just like VHS.
Oh, God, that was even worse.
All right.
Is that a good answer? We can cut this out.
That's perfect.
That's a great answer. That's
it's fair. I think it's right in line with how most of us started. Your generation with us.
We got another one. So let's, who wants to ask the next question?
So, Drake, thanks for being with us for this first episode. I'm going to ask a little more of a serious question. I know a lot of people in their professional lives will practice cybersecurity standards, but I'm always interested to hear the specific things people do in their personal lives to practice cybersecurity.
Just because it's a serious question doesn't mean you get a serious answer. But that is a great question. I think some of the things that I do that maybe some others, at least in my family, will leave it there. I like to use a password manager as opposed to, like a LastPass or one of those type of tools to help out. I do like to run a firewall in front of my home network. I do like to do a little bit of segmentation. What else? The two biggest things. There's probably some other things that I'm doing that I'm not thinking of at the top of my head.
Segmentation's a good one. Yeah, that's one that it's kind of crazy that whenever, of course, Wi-Fi becoming popular, and then, people like friends and stuff want to come over and get on the Wi-Fi, and like I set up a guest Wi-Fi years and years ago. It set the separate VLAN, set the separate SSID, set up all of that, and now like most of the stuff that you get off the shelf at Best Buy or whatever, that's just an option built in, which is awesome. Like that's a step in the right direction. I don't think anybody actually sets it up, but I'm glad it's there.
So yeah, I'm kind of curious, how far do you take it? I mean, do you have all of your consumer devices on a separate network, like TVs and Internet of Things, or how are you using segmentation?
That you hit the nail on the head, right? The Internet of Things, right? Whether it's the TVs or the iPads or anything that's really consumer related. Interestingly enough, my dishwasher has Wi-Fi enabled, so I connected to it, and I still haven't figured out why on earth I'd ever need to connect to my dishwasher remotely. Like if I load it, right? Like I'm gonna hit the start button.
Reboot it from afar.
Yeah, like that's a weird one. Like the oven, I get maybe if you're out and you want to change temperature, or just turn it off, like that's fine. It'd be cool if a gas range had a Wi-Fi enabled piece of software, because the biggest fear that I have is leaving the house and the gas is running, right? That honestly, like not joking, like I love a gas range. It terrifies me sometimes. I'm like, oh man, like, did I turn the gas off? I'm like, oh shit. And I've got a propane fireplace in fairly close proximity that's got a pilot light. So if I leave the gas on the burner and I go out on a road trip, right, for 2 or 3 days and fills up the house and that pilot light's running, I'll probably wreck about 5 houses on my block. So that'd be a cool feature for someone out there to develop, would be a way to turn off a gas range with software and Wi-Fi. But that being said, yeah, I try to keep all of my work and personal stuff off of any accessible network via the segmentation.
We could put a smart device in there that detects explosions. That way you get a text and you're like, your house has exploded.
Shows you the meme of the girl out. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I imagine when I tried to connect to my Google Nest, that would tell me that there's nothing left. The temperature of your house is 8,000 degrees. Oh, okay. We're good.
Go ahead and kick on the AC. I got you covered, man. So we've got a dishwasher with a smart device, it's all connected and everything. I know exactly why you need it. So the rule of the house is when the dishwasher starts, because we got the one that like once it's done, the door pops open and everything so it can vent out. Once it's done, whoever's there, they have to unload the dishwasher. So I load that thing up and then I, head off or whatever. And then I start it remotely and I'm like, well, I'm not at the house. I can't unload it. So I can say that safely because my wife doesn't listen to the podcast.
Aw.
Oh. All right. Any other questions? Any questions?
There's gotta
I'll
be
toss a
some.
fun one out there. What's your favorite IT related movie or scene or TV series?
Oh, hands down, it's Mr. Robot. Full stop.
Nice.
Sneakers
Yeah.
was cool.
Oh,
Mr.
Sneakers,
Robot.
Mm-hmm.
Sneakers was good. Like that was like the OG, right? I thought Sneakers was sort of the early days of quote unquote hacking, if you will. I'm not even sure if that's the appropriate nomenclature for it, but that was pretty good. I did like the Matthew Broderick movie. Oh, why am I drawing a blank on it right now?
War games?
Yes. Would you like to play a game? That was a good movie. But Mr. Robot by far.
So not Swordfish. So that's a win.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, look, we all love John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. We can agree on that. Swordfish, it stretchy for me. A little stretchy.
Slightly, yes.
You guys think they'll make a Mr. Robot? I mean, Christian Slater did that. What's his name? The guy who did Queen, the main actor. Oh my goodness.
Rami
Thank you.
Malcolm.
Malik, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he was amazing in that. What a great actor.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna ask you if you guys like Mr. Robot.
Oh yeah.
Loved it.
Yes.
I like that it brought like a lot of those things that were now some of it is kind of script kiddie-ish, but at least it put it out there, and at least it put it out there in a like most of the TV shows, movies, everything else show like, I'm a hacker, big explosions, all that kind of stuff, action, hooray. And this kind of showed the like negative, like the gritty part of it. And I like that. I can respect that. I
Also,
think
I think it was one of the more accurate visualizations of a command line, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
it wasn't like Jurassic
if
Park.
If I recall correctly, when I was reading an article about Mr. Robot when it came out years and years ago, they spent a tremendous amount of time and money ensuring that when they were showing various scenes relative to the hacking, like from the command line perspective, that they were accurate. They really did consult with a lot of people to make sure that, as they were typing various lines or doing various things, that it was in fact something that would be, reviewed by professionals like yourselves, right? To some extent myself. And it didn't seem completely falsified.
Yeah. And the nice thing was it wasn't Tom Cruise like coming out of the ceiling on a wire and like some of those attacks, they were like people are the weakest thing. So that's the weakest link. So that's what we're going to attack.
Yeah. Most of it was convincing someone to disregard protocol or something.
I mean, that's a great question for you guys as, hands on keyboards, day in, day out, deep in the trenches. Do you guys feel like the networks with, things like Kali Linux and Hydra and, formerly Backtrack, Wireshark, right? Do you guys feel like that now is still the primary threat vector that you guys like really have to like respond to and monitor and maintain? Or do you really feel like identity now is becoming so important? And I say that because I saw an article today and I can't remember what it was on, but there was like a billion accounts with user IDs and password credentials that were just now released on the dark web. A billion.
Yeah. So
You guys see that?
thinking about that, if you can't get to the other parts like Kali and Hydra without the identity part, you've got to get access into that system. I mean, yes, there's always these 0 days, but those cost so much depending on the software. But the identity access is way cheaper.
Well, and it's the path of least resistance, right? I mean, so I thought about this. It's amazing, right? The accessibility to compute power over time has decreased, which means today there are more people online than ever before, right? Everywhere, globally, today versus 5 years ago versus 10 years ago. And with the accessibility of credentials that you can go and acquire fairly inexpensively, right? I don't need to be very technical, right? I can just go acquire a bunch of credentials, do a little bit of social engineering, go to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, right? If you're in North Carolina, right, there's a good probability you're going to be on Bank of America, right? So if I have an identity that I believe is in North Carolina per LinkedIn and Facebook, I go to Bank of America, I can try a series of user IDs and passwords to log into Bank of America, right? Hopefully they have MFA enabled. A lot of people don't, right? But that's just one example of like, you don't need to be wildly technical in today's world. And we talk about the attack surface being various digital things that are all connected to one another, but you don't need to go out there and use Wireshark to capture packets, right? To inspect them, right? You can just do some social engineering with some credentials and take a few guesses at some websites, whether they're retirement sites or banking sites or other things. And it's just the attack surface isn't just the number of digital software applications. It's also the number of people who have become adversaries, right? Not the nation state people. It's everybody else. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's almost quaint to see the old school style of hacking in Mr. Robot, whereas today, yeah, it's far more about social engineering and just bypassing all of the technical controls right away.
Yeah, being a good liar.
Yeah. I mean, we used to invest so much into, making sure your on-site's protected, making sure you've got access control on ports, so somebody can't just go and plug into your network, and you got all this, and most of the stuff's coming from outside now. Like, it's crazy. Hackers want to work remote too. So
it's the work from home program.
Exactly. I'm not calling them back into the office. Well, kind of along those lines, we do have by the way, just kind of rolling back, I kind of like that. And we may stick with that. I like we have questions for you and the guests can give a question to us. I like that. Pretty cool little segment. But along those lines, as we were talking with you, Andre, and like getting you prepped for being on the show and everything, one of the topics that you brought up, and I really like this, is the idea of a Dexter. I hope everybody's seen I think it's HBO, right? The HBO series Dexter, where guy has some tendencies to go on killing sprees, trained up as a detective, I think he's blood spatter analyst, but uses those skills to go and be the good guy, like, those cases that fall through the cracks or whatever. He swoops in and he takes care of them, and with the skills that he's acquired over time and everything. So what about the thought of like a Dexter-style a hacker? Like, what would that look like? White hat hacker by day, black hat hacker at night. Like, what would that look like? What does that, kind of entail? What are they truly a white hat hacker at day if they're black hat at night? And I don't know. Good talking discussion. So what are you guys' thoughts?
If you don't mind, I'd love to jump in, add some more context, and then turn it over to the professionals. I think it's fair to say that the world we live in today is definitely not black and white, and I think there's a ton of gray. And as I think about folks in roles, whether they are, public servants, whether they are working for, charity or volunteer organizations, right? Certainly, public officials, politicians, right? I have to believe that, while we all want to believe that everybody is on the up and up and doing the right thing all the time for the right reasons, I firmly believe there's a ton of corruption going on. And, just thinking about like lobbyists, right? Just to pick on them just for a second. Their role, right? We separated church and state. Don't want to get too political, but we separated church and state. Why? Because it doesn't make sense. I'm in agreement. Today, right? The state is still the state, but the church is now large corporations that pay billions of dollars to lobbyists to influence public policy. There is so much happening behind the scenes that we don't see that influences the world that we live in. That, is there a world? should there be a world where people feel empowered to go from white to black or live in that gray line to expose some of the fraudulent behaviors that are impacting people's lives?
Yeah, that's going pretty deep.
Well, it's the tequila talk.
Drink.
Yeah. Like anymore, yeah, like politics is religion. So anymore. So it's I don't want to get too far in the weeds on that, but the idea that go ahead.
I apologize for interrupting. I didn't intend to go too deep, but just knowing that we live in a world where corruption and misrepresentation exists, where is the line for individuals to be able, right, to cross that line to bring people, quote unquote, to justice?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, like, in the terms of saying black hat by night, do you mean more like a Batman, like where what they're doing is outside the constraints of rule of law, but it's vigilante hacker or vigilante hat or whatever, where it's
kind of a gray hat, right?
Right. They consider themselves, they're not going after specific people or nation states. They're going after people that they have evidence that are guilty but are able to manipulate the system out of it, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And I say black hat, but I mean that's all, I mean that can be relative too. I mean if they're doing things that we would consider to be black, well, I mean just going back to the Dexter thing, I mean killing is not right, but he justifies it. So is that good? Is that
similar to the Batman notions? Like one of the things that they write often in the Batman comics is like, how does he keep himself from going over the deep end, so to speak? And with the Dexter example, is he's convinced himself in his mind that what he's doing is right, and once you've done that, you are not bound by your conscience. So it would be interesting to see. I know, like I'll go and I think I just recently watched John Hammond's 2024 Cybercrime in Review, and he went over a couple group of people that went after some bad actors and were disrupting their systems and seeing the feedback for it through white hat methodologies. And I thought it was really interesting to see. And it was like, oh yeah, go for the good guys, but knowing that these guys are fully capable of operating outside the constraints of what the law would give them, it'd be interesting to see what keeps people from doing that.
We see some of that now. Like we see some of there's some YouTube videos, social media, whatever that's out there that people are going after scammers. Like they intercept the calls, they trace back, they do, whatever they do. And it's all caught on video. It's all, it's meant to be, I mean, it's entertaining. Yes. But it's also like you mentioned, Ben, like what are they working with? What restraints are they working in? What keeps them honest?
Because much of the, like you're talking about with the corruption, like all of that is driven by money. And that's where a lot of the bad actors come from. They're not doing it necessarily because they want to see the world burn or whatever. A lot of them are doing it because that's how they get paid. It's the best way for them to make as much money with as little effort as possible. That's a lot of what the goal for everybody is how do I get a lot of money for doing very little? How do I get the most return? And so the idea that what feeling that these people, whether they invest in, whether they have going for them, that is more rewarding to themselves than being able to, buy the things that they want, or provide for their family, or have a legacy to pass down, things like that. And you really have to. There really has to be something within the conscious that these feelings of doing the right thing, like the recognition or personal satisfaction or something that is keeping them from crossing that line.
Let's use an example and see what you guys think. But like let's say there's a city council member who there's a strong inclination is believed to have accepted or being accepted bribes, right? To approve I would describe a shady development deal that displaces low-income families, right? That's pretty crappy, right? Is there justification, right, in considering that to be a target, right, to capture the appropriate information to then disclose it?
See, and I think that's where the rolling back to kind of the Dexter example is these people went through the justice system and they got out of it. Like there was a clear, like you could see that they're getting away with it. I don't know. I still struggle with that.
I really like that example though, because like there's not a destructive element here. You're not harming anything. You're just shining a light on factual information.
I think exposing that, I think that's okay.
Oh, you're talking about like a Snowden type thing?
Yeah.
Where he released a lot of the information that showed that how much the government is spying on its own citizens, kind of thing.
Oh boy.
That was a little dicier, and I like dicey. I'm gonna take a sip of my drink here, and then I'll have to refill it. That one's super interesting, and I'm so happy you brought up that example because in that trade-off, you're talking about national defense and compromising of right highly sensitive information about how we operate to run and secure the country that we live in,
and that. Talking about the national part of it is like, with the Dexter example, he's working within a city with laws and municipalities and court systems and stuff. A lot of the threat actors might not even be in an extraditable country,
right?
If that makes sense. So there isn't a justice system to fall back on, kind of thing. Oh, like Dark Knight in The Dark Knight, where he had Batman flew over and kidnapped the guy that was running all the money and flew him back so he could face justice. Yeah, like, is it possible that they could figure out a way to get them out of their country so they could be face charges, or is it more like
we could social engineer them? We got your money here. You just got to come to the U.S.
We modify their bus card or whatever. Takes them to the next county over.
Oh boy, yeah. I'm kind of with the Snowden thing. That's
So let me ask you this question, and Jonathan, I'll start with you. Right, from your perspective. And you can decline to answer the question in the interest of not incriminating yourself. Were you happy that he did that? Or were you kind of mad?
Actually, I was pretty satisfied that he did release that. I do completely understand the national security implications of it. But I think it was important that the general public fully understood what and how they were completely being surveilled. And the truth may be, you may not really care, but it's still your privacy has been taken away. And I think just that being really visible is important.
That's one thing that I was going to touch on, like when you were talking through that. I don't think people care. I don't know why they hid it, because I don't think people care, because in the recent, like, they shut down TikTok, and I can't remember what the other one is, but there's some other video social media platform that's out of China, and they're like, yeah, it spies on you and everything else. Nobody cares. Everybody flocked to it. And like, people just don't care. So I think we're at a place where we're like, the government could have said, yeah, we're, whatever, we're listening to your phone calls, or we're tracking your phones or whatever, but you still want a phone, right? And people will be like, yeah, I want a phone. I just don't think people care. But now, arguing on the other side, like, I don't think it should have been. I don't think it should have been hidden. I don't think it. Yeah.
It's the notion that, well, we just won't tell them. That's the lack of trust, or what they're using that data for.
Exactly.
Well, again, right, we can head down a pretty deep rabbit hole, and I'm not opposed to at least starting to go down it. But like, I agree with all the points that have been made. I don't disagree. But does the action of him doing that open the door for others who are in privileged positions with privileged information, right, to then do something similar that further, therefore, compromises, right, the security of the nation? I'm going to do it. And maybe it's one level deeper about how the government's operating. There's a reason that there's classified information. There's a reason that there's quote unquote air gapped systems, right? So, is he a hero or is he a villain, right? And I think that's the ultimate, dichotomy here is like, which one is he? And he can be both, I suppose, right? But have we now just said, well, there's some reward in terms of fame and notoriety and TV shows and books for disclosing information relative to how our government operates. And, does our government have the right to operate with some degree of privacy or the protection of the masses? I'll put that out there, and whoever is not sipping their drink, fire away.
I'll start on that. We were talking about sort of the generation of hackers we came from, and coming from the old school hacker style, I grew up with a free and open internet, and I think as we've closed that off, both in information and in applications, it's done more harm than good. And I would like to see a reversal of that trend. And I'm kind of curious what, as a vendor, you would think of that. A return to more an open internet, more open source software, more eyes on these things, I think makes them safer.
I agree with that.
I think it directly aligns to the whole premise of the blockchain. The blockchain is a global ledger that everybody has transparent access to who's doing what when, right? There's no secrecy there, right? And I think there's some future to blockchain outside of the notion of a cryptocurrency, but as a protocol upon which applications can and should be built in the interest of transparency. I think we can all agree that when the notion of TCP/IP came out, and that was the networking protocol, that wasn't built with security in mind, and we've been struggling for the past 30 years to like bolt in security after the fact, and like ultimately the chassis of this thing is busted, and we just keep putting duct tape, glue, and rubber bands on it to keep it together. But ultimately, the internet was never developed with security in mind.
Wait, you got duct tape?
Fancy.
Well, it's actually the Walmart brand called What Tape. It's a W, but it does the same thing. I can't afford the D with the duct tape. That's top shelf kind of stuff.
You gotta, like, if I start buying duct tape, it's gonna cut into my booze fund. So, like, yeah.
That's another opportunity to just ask the audience, the listeners. The team here needs duct tape badly. So if you're looking to like do a Patreon, right? Don't send cash, send duct tape.
Duct tape.
I just wanted to say I like Tony's the open source movement. I like the idea of code being readily available and to have as many eyes as possible on it. I think moving that direction is better for everyone who accesses the internet as a whole. And as we keep getting new versions of Windows and everything's crammed down our throat that we have to pay for, the idea of having open source, free to use operating system is very appealing, especially not for the third world, so to speak, for lack of a better term.
I think that was a great episode. I think we probably need to start wrapping it up. Since there was a lot of privacy focus on this one, what kind of privacy advice can we give the listeners? I know one of the things that make sure you're using something like an AdGuard or something like that. Again, I'm not sponsored or anything, but just kind of block those internet trackers and stuff and keep yourself a little bit more private, but also take it a step at a time. Just like anybody who like is trying to lose weight, or anybody who wants to, go out and run a marathon, you're not just going to go out and do it. privacy and security is the same way. Little bits at a time, little incremental improvements just to make your life a little bit more secure, a little bit protect your privacy. Don't try to bite it all off at once. But does anybody else have any other privacy related tips that they could give out?
I would say incognito mode does not keep you safe.
Go live in the woods.
The woods, not a bad idea. If those woods are in the mountains and there's ski slopes available, I'm in.
Nice.
And they're cheap. I think again, not accepting cookies, and every site now says accept cookies, right? And then go do a search on some secure browsers, right? There are browsers out there today that are more secure than others, and I think there's some good options for folks that want to be a little bit more privacy centric to be able to do that. So if you combine a VPN, a more privacy oriented browser, right? Those are two very easy steps to incrementally improve, right? The notion of being a little bit more secure relative to data and privacy. What do you guys think?
I'm still rocking Netscape Navigator. I'm secure. I got. I can't even.
Mark
get on
Andrews.
the internet, so.
Mark
Links,
Andrews
baby.
loves you.
No graphics, text only.
Can we fire up? Can we fire up an IRC right now? Can we do that?
An IRC? This
Really?
is gonna be sad, but I still use IRC.
I think we need to bring IRC back.
Are we going down a gopher hole? Are Archie and Veronica involved?
I just want to say, make IRC great again.
Nice. And I had to go and check, and yeah, Netscape Navigator is definitely discontinued. I was thinking, oh man, what if it's still out there? But no, it's gone. So sorry to disappoint anybody. And it's been gone since. Oh wow! Can anybody take a guess on when? Nobody Google it or web search it. Sorry. Can anybody guess whenever the final release was?
1996.
No,
2001.
No, getting closer. The initial release was 1994. The final release was 2008.
Oh, wow.
We could have been rocking Netscape Navigator all the way up to 2008. Wow. Well, on that news, I was going to say disappointing, but I don't know. It is what it is. I'm sure there'll be a fork of it somewhere. Thank you, Andre, for being our guest. This was a great episode. I hope we continue the trend and keep getting more guests on here. I really appreciate you being our first. So thank you very much. I hope everybody enjoys the episode and comes back for more next time. Until then, I'm Jason.
This is Ben.
Jonathan.
This is Tony. And this extra person in the studio is...
The first guest to Oak Barrel. Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.